And we're live. Welcome to Interchain FM, everyone. We are here with the coin artist. And sorry. Notably, okay,
wait.
Go on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, sorry. I'm doing a bit of adminning and talking right now. Okay, yeah. Welcome, coin artist. Today we are going to talk about NFTs, social influencer coinage, and coin, of course. Of course, there is a disclaimer. We're not here to shill or market any particular token. Right now, the focus of this talk is going to be about the application of NFTs for personal tokens. So yeah, welcome. Well, your real name is Marguerite
de Courcelle.
Marguerite. Yeah, welcome. You are the second lady friend we've had on this this podcast. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was fun. We were just reminiscing before we got on the show about your awesome background yourself, Tango, in the space and your journey. And I'm so thrilled of where you are right now and Cosmos, the work you guys are doing. I love Cosmos.
Cool. Yeah. So tell us about coin and what you're trying to do with the social influencer token.
Sure. So
what that idea is, first of all.
What was that? What was the last part?
What is the idea behind influencer tokens? Because we're seeing this emerge, and I think you're basically the first person to do this that I've noticed in the space. There's RSC, which we recorded an interview last week with, but he's doing something a little bit different with his token than what you are. So I'm curious to see how you're doing this differently.
So not the first social influencer. Dude, are you familiar with the project Roll? Have you heard of Roll? Mm-hmm. So they're a platform right now that's working with people to be an easy sort of way to mint tokens on behalf of different influencers or for brands. So I had interviewed Roll and then a few folks in the DeFi space. And so the movement around DAOs started to pick up, I think, as DeFi projects really started to pick up earlier this year. What we saw with DAOs is basically governance tokens happening around these basically groups of people that wanted to form aligned incentives for whatever they're working on in the space. And it became very socially oriented. And so around that same time, Roll started to take off. There was a token called Alex. Alex he's I guess now the most famous Alex in the world. If you search Alex, he's the first hit. So he started with that, and something he did. So I'm just kind of going through the history a little bit of this experience. Something he did when he first rolled out was his token holders could vote on things he did in his life. So he would make a proposal this month I'm going to run 5 kilometers a day, or I'm going to do something else. And anyways, they all voted. And then he had he had to end up running 3 miles a day. He tracked it, uploaded that information as he did it. He explored token controlled access. So now there's something called token controlled access was really sticky. Alex had played around with that. And as I was watching and designing for my own ecosystem, Collabland has, so it's collab.land. They do different token controlled access for Discord and Telegram. I'll get to it in a little bit and how I've used it, but they have continued to add features. So other people like REC, he does this as well, where both of us have our own Discords. And within the Coin one, it's Coin is basically, for me, it's my way to better engage my long-standing community that has been tracking my work since 2014. Goes all the way back to crypto puzzles, gamified experience across numerous different projects, until I launched the game company, Blockade Games, in January 2018. what happened when I did that was, since it's a, it's a centralized company, traditional company, I kind of removed myself from the way that I could normally have been interacting with my audience. So we didn't want Blockade itself, just for regulation purposes, we're a US company, to issue a token, but I still missed engaging with my community and having this shared token that we could play with. As smart contracts, as a game company, we've really pushed the boundaries of what's possible with NFTs and DeFi and gaming. And so our smart contract work and everything we've been doing, it's just like, we had all these tools in place to really engage our community now in a fun, lightweight way. So the social, I think it's important to realize that these are tools that we're giving our community to play and experiment with blockchain projects, things we're building in a playful way. I like to talk about it like play money, as opposed to like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a financial, it's a financial investment. This is something to build, while it might have value associated to it in numerous different ways, or the community as a market's assigning value to it. It's definitely the bridging the gap between how, like, for example, I'm launching something called a coin vault, and the coin vault will be issuing shards of NFTs from creatives. A shard is a fractionalized ownership of the NFT. It's basically an ERC20, but it's all tied back to the originating NFT. So then people can compete to own all the shards, and when someone owns all the shards, they own the original NFT. So anyways, in this process of launching this NFT farm, I'm working with the creatives in this space. I'm using coin as a way to acquire art pieces, and being able to pay them for their work and time. Also, I'm targeting up and coming artists that maybe fit the neon, like cyberpunk mold, and integrating them into the community. I'm also looking for opportunities in which to invest back into the community in works and content they're producing that sits in that neon cyberpunk intersection. So yeah, we're having a ton of fun, I guess. And we have this NFT farm rolling out on Sunday. So in our Discord, like I said before, it's token controlled access. You have to own at least 5 coins to join what's called Coins Eden. We call it a private syndicate, syndicate of Neon District. So we'll have game and lore and within the Neon District universe, and we'll be able to dictate some rules that we want to see happen within the syndicate that will cross over into the game. And I guess that's neat because like we're really pushing the boundary and blurring like the idea of reality versus virtual and the alt reality with coin. So I just dumped a ton on you, so feel free to stop me.
Break some of that down a little bit. Like, what is the Neon District universe? Is this some sort of a virtual world? And if so, how is it different from Decentraland? And if I'm understanding it correctly, is coin kind of the reserve currency for transacting in that economy? Or, is it?
Yeah. Neon District it's a cyberpunk RPG video game we've been developing for 2 years. And we're actually into our private community. We'll be releasing the first PvP experience this month, so November. And then the public rollout is December 15th. We accept coin at Neon District. So you can use coin to buy Neon. Neon is the in-game currency within Neon District. We accept Ethereum, Neon, and we had a credit card option. So you could buy it also with cash. But the Neon is non-transferable. So you use that just basically to funnel into your NFT game assets. So the way Neon District works is it's composable NFTs to create your RPG character. 4 characters total.
Your audio
and
cut
then
out.
They evolve over. Oh, it did?
Did it cut out for you, Chris?
It cut out for a second, then it came back, but I'm not sure if it's synced.
Can you hear me
now?
It
looks okay. Yeah.
Okay. I was just talking.
Glitch in the matrix.
Yeah. So anyways, and Neon District is really focused on innovative blockchain technology with non-fungible tokens, essentially, and crafting, and how it's different than Decentraland. This is when you think of like, so Decentraland is more like the platform, and then you have people going and building applications within the Decentraland universe. We have crafted the Neon District world as if like you're going to go play Final Fantasy. You know, you walk into a story and storylines, multiple storylines, and you are a character within what we've designed. So it's a traditional RPG. And it's 2D, so it's not, so it's 2D, very painterly, heavy emphasis on the artistic style that you might see in just RPG indie game. So anyway, so going back to coin, like it's not the game currency, no. And when I talk about the universe of Neon District, all those storylines, like we have a wiki for Neon District universe that's like something like 1,000 pages of characters and stories and world building. So like,
Wow. And were these all written by your company, or are they sourced? Okay.
That's like Warcraft. Or
what's that?
Is it as big as World? I mean, I don't know. Is it as big as World of Warcraft, which is a huge universe? Maybe it's, or maybe it's trying to get to that level.
Yep, and so we're releasing in seasons. So once the campaigns actually start, which is next year, they will be an ongoing content, basically, that will ship and revealing story pieces over time.
Is there interplay, like transactional or sort of interplay of state between the Neon District world and other games or other blockchain project? Yeah,
we have. We've played around already with interoperability of assets. So, like for example, there's something. We have a blade that we made that in Neon District, it's a cool neon weapon, and then in the battle racers, it becomes a like undercarriage lighting. If you have it in your wallet, if you have it in your wallet, you'll get a neon lighting under one of your cars in battle racers. And then there's Light Trail Rush. If you have this asset in your wallet, you will see a hologram hovering over your ship. So there's a lot of like visual aesthetic play we can do just by token IDs in your different wallets, which is actually pretty neat when you start thinking about. I'm just gonna run with this, guys. You can feel free to interrupt me. But when you think about tokens and the fact that you can play aesthetically, even with ERC20 tokens, we can do really neat things. Like if we had Cosmos in your wallet, you could have just a different effects that happen, like special effects when you do a certain attack. So maybe not something that has value that's tradable, but just cool stuff because it's an application. When we talk about RAC, I love the idea that we could do, like when it's PvP, you could have different NFTs you bought of RAC, and you would see a music library that you're collecting from your different sound or audio NFTs. And so when you're ready, geared up to do one of your super moves, and let's say you're going to annihilate your opponent on it, you can select to play the song or the beat drop with that particular move and customize it. So then your opponent's going to hear it and they're going to be like, oh crap. They know you're coming. just to curate and have like customize your experience and play around with what's possible with these decentralized assets, more or less.
That's really interesting. Well, so how does coin funnel into this, or are they distinct things right now? So we're talking about NFTs in gaming and then NFTs in the social influencer sphere. How do they kind of? How do you think about them?
I can tell you, like, one of the reasons I wanted to really play around, in addition to bridging the gap with the community, is that social influencers are going to have a major role as blockchain gaming gets stickier. And we see games start to take off, like really promising projects. You see Axie Infinity right now do a great job pioneering and building out their community. And they have influencers. Eventually, we're going to be hitting a stride where major influencers in the streaming sphere will be participating. And if we have these different viable business models in which a streamer can support themselves and own more of their brand, and promote the things they want to promote and to be communicating directly with their fan base, then so us doing this right now is basically just proving that there's a business model here and there's money on the table for certain influencers that can, one, like really promote projects they're excited about. So imagine, I'll just give you the big vision here. Ninja enters the space and he has a token, a social token. Game companies can drop him, they know his blockchain address, they can drop him NFTs and, you know, ways, even customized NFTs, like where it's Ninja, the game character within Neon District. And we give him maybe 100 for him to give out to his fans. He has this token controlled access channel in which everyone that's a Ninja token holder can have the opportunity to get one of these drops in, and that's the only way to get it. Or it's token controlled access for a live stream. Like the interplay between especially the gaming world and ways for people to make money as individuals, either be a content creator or, I mean, influencers can largely be content creators if you think about how much work it takes to, you know, to make these, do the streams and you're making your videos, educational pieces. Yeah. So like the business models here are, and being able to have a token in which, so that in our Discord, for example, it's tiered access. We have ranks and roles according to how much coin you own. So it's a little bit like a Patreon, but it's way more interactive. I'm in RAC's Discord and his private chat, and Deadmau5 is talking in there, and a big other indie artist, like in that those token controlled channels. It's so neat. Like I get a really intimate glimpse at what it's like to be a music creator. I've never been like that close with these guys that are so famous. So yeah, I guess like I would say that everything is interoperable. So when we talk about the social currency, it's just another way for us to engage, drive engagement.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of parallels between, you know, streamer monetization, musician monetization, porn star, sex work, or cam girl monetization. What else? Just like Instagram influencer monetization. All of these things where an individual is just an independent content creator, and they're, you know, relying on a platform to get their content out, and then relying on it to monetize. And so what I'm starting to see here is the things that you're trying to solve, what RSC is trying to solve with the music industry, what Spank Chain is trying to solve for the sex industry. NFTs seem to be the right answer to that, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if in, you know, 5 years from now, if, you know, crypto goes mainstream and everyone has some Bitcoin and people are using it as money, suddenly they're thinking, okay, well, I could self-monetize and I'm just going to use this, I don't know, decentralized peer-to-peer network to then monetize without having to rely on, I don't know, YouTube or Twitch or any other centralized streaming platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the fact that we have the tools now, so we have marketplaces where a few things have happened to make this actually like viable. One is Uniswap, right? The DEX. It's way easier now to get access to these social tokens and their markets without having to have a bank account also figured out. So the fact that you can easily pick up the crypto. Two, that we have marketplaces now where, let's say as a content creator, especially an artist, I can list these NFTs and also list them exclusively in my token. And then like, so the fact that I guess as the overlap then between that, creating your own economic loop as a content creator it's new. I think we're just getting enough tools together now and putting these pieces together that as people prove out how viable it is, you're going to see bigger people enter and also leverage the same tools. And we're going to, as people do this, we're going to keep building additional tools around them to make the experiences even better. Like there's so many business opportunities here as far as even live streaming and, you know, making sure people have your token to to see the stream, but also the ability to earn by watching. I guess that's a spank chain, right? That's a spank chain model, but in even more interactive ways because of the gaming assets. When you talk about NFTs unlock just almost limitless opportunities for content because of their unique nature. So having game assets with utility that evolve over gameplay is just one use case that I'm so excited by, but there's so many use cases. Like even crafting, we can do some really weird crap. Like RAC and I could make a crafting game with our social tokens and have like a complete third-party application that we launch around that, like just a gamified social experience. So anyways, yeah.
Like, can you tell me what you imagine that experience looks like?
What, like a crafting social game like that?
Yeah, like what is that?
Sure. Okay. So let's say with our Neon District art assets that we've done, that we create a third-party social app. Have you ever played House Party?
I've downloaded the app, but no.
Not House Party. Sorry, not the app. It's a game. It's a game where you walk into this house party and you have to interact with all these non-playable characters and try to convince them to like you, or like you change the storyline by how you interact with them and your different options. So they have a meter on how much they like you or don't like you. So let's say that in this, we create a cyberpunk bar of non-playable characters, right? And I'm a coin holder. And let's say that all these non-playable characters are like, if I sway them enough to like me, then, maybe I win one of them. Well, in this way, like maybe RAC, there's a coin character and an RAC character. And if you get them to like you, like maybe you'll get a new NFT that has both coin and, coin and RAC nested in the non-playable character. And maybe it's a mix of like our personalities, for example, and you have to figure out some psychoanalysis about the whole thing. So we already have the asset. Now that we have the assets, the animations, like so much of the infrastructure done, and we have this, the smart contracts and the engineering work, the way to engage people now is it's like very low hanging fruit compared to all the work that's been done to get to this place.
Mm-hmm. I never thought that I would be in a position where I had to please NPCs. But okay, so I'm going to go down a very dystopic route, which is, this sounds really cool and fun, but then basically the Twitter effect comes to mind, which is, Twitter had these like buttons and retweets and everything, and then basically, after 10 years of this social experiment running, we see that a bunch of people are like highly anxious because they're like, wait, do they like me or not?
Yeah.
House Party's doing that explicitly.
Yeah, totally. Well, and yeah, but people like those social games. So blockchain, actually, the social nature of blockchain assets, because you can see everybody's game accounts, you can see what they have. People want ways to show off. They want ways to be social with their virtual assets. So application developers are going to be heavily looking to explore ways to highlight people according to their blockchain assets. And I think, that's going to be the stickiest, probably the most stickiest experiences are ones that give you reputation and ones that have a way to show off, essentially. It be skill. So games is a way to show off skill in the PvP and also have these financial, these game assets, which may have value. And they're also have an aesthetic look. So you get to be a little bit of a fashion designer with the whole thing. But I think the really immersive experience in 10 years, I imagine we're going to have just some crazy applications and ways to even going with augmented reality, right? Let's imagine in my blockchain assets, I have really neat skins that if you were to look up on your phone and see me, you'd see me with dressed up in a very specific way wearing my blockchain assets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know.
No. So I was actually talking about this with a friend the other day, which is rappers are now using new AR tools to give virtual concerts, and then they're able to do some crazy AR thing, or they could create like a VR world and then turn into this giant avatar at the center of a universe, or like in the middle of a black hole, and they're like, maybe it's like Dead Mouse playing a song. He's like, and everyone's having an EDM concert.
Totally. Well, when I think COVID's really pushed us, right? Like to get more creative and immersive and exciting with our online lives.
Yeah. Where do you think this is? Well, like, where are you envisioning Neon District and your coin run world to go in this context?
I'm going to continue to try to keep proving different viable paths and opportunities. So I'm going to, and we're going to keep developing tools for those experiences. So like, I've always been highly experimental. Blockade is a highly experimental game company. And that because of that, we stay really lean, lightweight, and we move very fast. Instead of trying to grow into a big game company where we have to create a walled garden and we worry about our IP and things like that. So where we see ourselves is we're going to continue to try to push the boundary as what is possible, and to be Blockade was the first application developer to use a Lightning Network, Bitcoin Lightning Network, to trigger Ethereum smart contracts last year. And we did that in a gaming application called Ledger of Szabo. So we'll continue to just do things to show people that, there's lots of opportunity to play. And I guess that's just been our brand. So I guess that's probably where we'll stay, but I am looking forward to the idea of maybe one day Neon District being a immersive virtual world that, with all of its story and lore that's built out with 3D assets, being able to move over from 2D to 3D in a way that makes sense. But the expense of going that 3D route is just so big that it makes sense to move. The 2D asset route was a lot faster. And also we can engage now the crypto art community, because we have a ton of 2D artists in the space. And when I was talking about that fashion design piece, we have it designed in a way that people will be able to design their own outfits and branded fashion lines within Neon District. So that's how we're starting. But where it goes, I would love to own the neon cyberpunk future as a brand. So
yeah. So when you mentioned that you guys were building on Lightning initially, is that does that mean you're more or less platform agnostic? Are you picking whatever technology ends up serving Blockade games the best?
Yes.
And
yep.
What the features is that?
Yeah, so Neon District we'd always, in 2018, wanted it to be a free-to-play experience. So because of that, we are in a layer 2. So right now we're in Matic network, and the way it plays is it just feels like a game. You actually have no idea that these are blockchain assets until you get to a place where you've actually created something valuable, and the game application will then start educating you about blockchain assets and the marketplace and things like that. So we've tried to make it a very wide funnel, so as inclusive as possible for everyone that loves cyberpunk RPGs, essentially. And then you become more of the hardcore crypto user by the end. So it starts with the custodial wallet, but you can switch it to being an experienced blockchain user, and you can use your own wallet even on Ethereum mainnet. So right now if you go to Neon District or portal.neondistrict.io, you'll see that if you own both Ethereum and Matic assets, the game supports both. So you can play from either, the game will read your assets from either. But the experience of playing on Matic, of course, is very, very, very cheap, and Blockhead actually covers those expenses.
What was it about Matic that served this purpose?
They had just the most dev support at the time for us to quickly. We were on Moon Network when we first started, because Loom was one of the first runners, and like got their network up, and we worked with them to have, we built Plasma Bears over there, which Plasma Bears is one of the first, actually was the first free-to-play blockchain game, crafting, composing multiple NFTs into one game character. And then also those bears were upgradable. So it's like a Build-A-Bear with a text adventure. And then what happened was Loom just totally pivoted. And so we had to figure out what we wanted to do next. And we had a long-standing relationship with the Matic team, and multiple other games have moved over there. But we're designed in a way that the blockchain part of Neon District basically can be upgraded or swapped out to a different network if there's a better network that fits us in the future.
What is it about the network that suits you? I'm wondering. It turns out that you need a blockchain network that specifically services gaming. Is that right, or is it some nuance?
It's not specifically serving gaming as much as it's just it's basically all the Ethereum tools that we're used to are supported on Matic as well. So it's easy for us to build for both without having to change any of our design with the contracts or anything. The address is the same. So your Ethereum and Matic address uses the same address, so that's good for users.
So it's completely composable with ETH addresses, and you
right.
get the same ETH address on the Matic network.
Right. And yeah, so I mean, those are basically the major reasons. There was no really, for everything we wanted and needed to have with the free-to-play experience, want to make sure that users aren't paying for their gas fees, and there's no lag. We're storing everything. Yeah, it just hit all of our boxes for right now.
Are there any remaining technical hurdlenecks, or?
No, not currently. Yeah, right now we've got that. That's what I was saying. Like, that part's done. So now it's a matter of the engagement and building experimental applications to support like the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what you're doing with incrementing through different features and different coins, right? They all kind of stack on top of each other, and in the future they could kind of be integrated in a single economy. That at least that's how I'm seeing it. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, I mean, like, so the money Legos thing, right? Is when you think about, so how I see it is, if you look at DeFi and you see how much everyone's excited about interacting and playing these like very shallow games in a way, they don't, when I mean shallow is they don't have any like game design depth to them. So at the end of the day, it's just people are starting to think about, oh, well, we have to, like if you look at meme, they have to constantly be pushing out content to stay viable. Games constantly have to push out content to stay viable. But games have a massive game design to really ground their game economy. If you look at Magic the Gathering, trading cards, things like this, so Neon District's designed in that same wide way. But anyways, then you have these side loops that feed back into that game economy. So in this case, Coin could be a side loop of that experience, where we do experimental things with Coin, we engage the community, we help build up talent there, and then experiences then can funnel back into that game economy. And with the NFTs themselves, they also support that economy, as well as now if I'm a content creator as an artist and I come up with my own fashion line and I could sell those NFTs that are valuable, and then I can, like, supporting the content creators is a way to stay more viable as a game company and to be more scalable. So I'm always interested in those side loops. And DeFi, you can, now with Coin, we have DeFi. So like there's, for being a liquidity provider, for example, for the Coin ETH on Uniswap, you stake that and you're earning Coin and cred. Cred is a special token you only get for basically being a liquidity provider that, that myself as a content creator, and also we can leverage Blockade to do things that are special experiences for cred holders. So I like the reward systems that we can bake in.
And what are those? Are you allowing farming to happen with coin?
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what's happening with this NFT farm rollout on Sunday. You'll be able to stake coin, stake cred, and then we're switching every week to a new partner where you can stake a different token, and then you'll be able to you'll be farming these NFT shards essentially. What's exciting about that is once everything is sharded, people compete for owning the entire NFT. And so the artist, actually, the way it's designed right now, the artist gets 20% of the shards. So when that secondary sale happens, it usually is a much higher value, and they're going to see a high secondary sale. So not only is coin buying like the artwork up front, but they also get the cool secondary sale. So
don't you run into some sort of weird last shard effect where whoever has the last shard can, sell it at a particularly high price to whoever has the remainder? Or how does that work exactly?
So actually, you put in a bid for the asset, and if no one makes a counter bid, then they can. It's the shotgun buyout clause.
I see.
That money goes into escrow, and then the trade will auto execute. So people can try to buy your shards as well if they think. So Niftex is an exchange in which you can trade the ERC20 tokens and try to accumulate more of them without buying all of them, depending on if you think you can accumulate more for cheaper. If you think it's going to one day someone's going to buy it all out, you get paid. So then that Ethereum gets paid out then to all the shard holders.
I see. Excellent.
Yeah. So is this NFT farm on any of your games, or what is it?
No, it's at Coin. So if you go to coinartist.io, there's you'll see like where you can be a liquidity provider for coin, and then there's a NFT farm page, and that will be updated on. I think we're doing a preview, maybe tomorrow or Saturday, but the farms go live on Sunday.
Okay, so it's is that a UI layer on top of Uniswap, or is this something different?
Yeah, I'm actually, Ben is designing it, been like in the mine right now. So he's putting it all together. So actually, I'm not totally sure how he's designed it yet. But I know he was just actually updating me on it. So I have to go catch up with him after this call.
Yeah. There just seems to be a lot of different farms that are popping up, right? And this is for NFT specific farming.
Yeah, but it's a little different because NFT, like Meme, for example, is an 1155 token, and people stake, and it's like the first people that rush to stake then get the NFT, and maybe there's only 5. So that means if you joined late and you weren't one of the first 5 people, then you probably don't have a shot at getting that NFT. What this allows is for people that come and stake, then you're accumulating the shards at any time, according to the duration of that period that you're there for. So you're not going to miss out on having ownership of the shards. We also will deploy probably NFT direct farming, but I personally loved the farming for shards idea just a little bit more because no one's done it yet.
Is that, I'm just trying to wrap my head around like bidding for shards. Is that like a new way of doing auctioning?
Yeah, so that's what Niftex does. Is they're basically the auction house.
Sorry. What does?
Niftex. So it's Niftex. Yeah, they were the first ones that came up with this idea of sharding NFTs and basically they operate as an auction house at the moment. But most of this all happens on chain.
Gotcha. Okay. And what was that? What was your takeaway from the trajectory of NFTs after you saw how digital art was being sold at over hundreds of thousands of dollars? I'm specifically referring to Christie's auction house, right? There was like there was a piece of art out of a series of arts, and that went out for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, wasn't that last week that somebody that Christy sold that NFT, or I feel like that just happened.
Yeah, that was very recent. Yeah, there was a.
Yeah.
It just looked like a circle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
I
talking
remember
about?
that. Yeah. No, so like sharding is definitely something that will be seen for very high value NFTs. So doing the sharding farms was exciting because eventually I want to be in a place where these are very high value NFTs, but first we're just, we're in that prototype phase where we're just rolling out and trying to get the MVP going. So I've targeted just some really cool cyberpunk art that I like. But we'll have the tools in place that someone wants to basically sell something high value on our site. That's where the whole partner slot is, right? Then you can have people stake whatever token for an NFT that they've acquired of their choice. We can do more mechanics to that. Like you could pay to participate in addition to stake.
Okay. Wouldn't that be an extra barrier?
Yeah, well, it depends on how high value this asset is. You might want there to be certain metrics that are met as a content like provider in order for someone to have access to the shard of your asset.
What determines if something is high value or not?
It might have had like on the marketplace. It's either usually if an artist, let's say an artist has a certain sale average that they're really hot right now and in demand, or even there's a lot of ways that we can play around with value, but someone that is creating something that is valuable, that the market has decided is valuable. It could have already had an initial sale. And so we've seen that it's, it has that sale history. So let's say like RAC and his NFT that sold for $26,000. Let's say that owner wants to shard it. And they also want you to have to stake RAC in order to have a shard of it. And in order to have a shard of it, they also want you to pay a minimum to participate with the farm. And there's like a deadline for that before you can, or it could be rolling, I suppose. But anyways, like as that, now I'm sharing this asset with everybody. That might have more value to you than giving up the ownership of the time of the asset. But it's another way to make money on something that you thought was going to be valuable.
Got it. Okay, so sorry, that's like opening up a huge world right now with like auction houses, and now you're creating a secondary market where people buy digital art and then they then put it up for auction, and now that's a huge economy.
Well, and it also gets a little bit crazier in a way that these shards are all ERC20 tokens, right? So they could have their own marketplace. You could make now, like even though you have RAC, you could make a pair for this shard, and it could have its own marketplace. And a different developer or someone that loves RAC could go build an experience just around those shards.
Tokens keep multiplying. So one thing I wanted to touch upon, which we chatted about with RAC a bit last week, is that one of the things that most excites me about so the intersection of both fungible and non-fungible tokens and creative production is that RAC was talking a lot about how it could serve as a way to disintermediate the relationship between the people who are actually experiencing or I don't like consuming, I think it's a bit vulgar, but experiencing the art and the creators, so that they don't have to go through music labels in the case of RAC, or maybe auction houses. I'm sure Christie's takes out a large cut. Do you see that in the artists which you're working with? Are there sort of strong advantages, and how's that going? Like, I know there's an effort to provide some secondary sale revenue back. How do you see that trajectory so far?
So that's actually we set up a Discord for with RAC and a bunch of the other folks in that music space focusing on audio NFTs. All the major platforms and are some of the biggest content creators right now focusing on music. And we had a call and we talked about not only licensing and the possible ways we could decentralize these things on chain, how you could do licensing renewal on chain. But yeah, basically allowing artists to start acting like the publisher in a way, giving them that, because that's where a lot of the value is. I don't know if you saw, but RAC had said that in his post, he outlined how much an artist would make for having 1 million streams on one of their songs, and the top was like 16,000, and I think it was on Google Play. So when you look at the opportunity of the things we can put on chain and basically, like you said, get rid of those third parties, empower the artists to create the content they really want without the barrier of anybody telling them, like the visibility fight, that people have, even just game companies trying to be at the top of the Apple Store. Like as a game company, unless you're paying massive amounts of advertising dollars, you'll never be seen. So as we can capture that value back to the content creators, that means that the content we make is going to be better because we're going to have more money to play with. I mean, everybody that's really artistically and creatively driven and passionate about it, they'll do it because they love it, but now for the first time, we're liberating and so many artists and creatives, and see, like, so many musical artists saw that RAC sold that NFT for $26,000. And these people are with mainstream crossover, and RAC is a great example of someone who's a great educator too. And these indie artists are going to look at this opportunity to launch a career into a new type of space now, but still doing exactly what they love. And also, that relationship, direct to fan, is very powerful. Like, it feels like you're buying it, like they made something and you're taking it from them, directly. It's just a better experience as opposed to going through this other application experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where do you see the kind of straw breaking the camel's back with these content creators? When do you think, more mainstream artists are going to realize this and are going to try and do what RAC did?
Well, I think we're there. I think we're at the tipping point. Like, I don't know if you saw Blau, who's another big artist. He also launched a couple other NFTs. So the demand is there. So now since the demand is there, everyone's figuring out, okay, how are we going to do licensing? So licensing is going to be the game changer when that's on chain. Like, because with the music rights, having exclusive music rights to an NFT is like, if you think, I'll give you an idea where this idea gets really neat too, is imagine like you're an artist who does remixes. Every time you want to remix songs, it's kind of a nightmare to get your track on these different audio platforms, especially if you didn't have permission from the artist. And these exclusive right NFTs or different types of rights that you could have, you can then have the platform in which allows you to do the mixing, composes it all. So it's basically like now you have the new contract, but it has the inherent attachments to the other NFTs. And when you trade that package deal, now you can have this launch, like somebody can buy your mix of a song legitimately, and you can have the recurring payments to the original content creators.
Mm-hmm.
That would be huge. And we have the ideas are there, and now we just have to put the tweaks on things so that this all comes together. And you're gonna have so many people creating content, and it's just I think the first movers here in the space have a real shot at establishing really strong careers if onboarding quickly. And I think that we're seeing this start to happen, and the different platforms are getting pressure to support different file types, different experiences for these content creators to upload. So yeah, I think we're at the tipping point.
What's so I'm sorry. Sorry. I blanked on my question. But okay, so I remember now. The sharding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's possible if I were, let's say, creating a video and I wanted to use RAC's song, right, without getting DMCA'd? Would it be possible if I were to go to this NFT marketplace and say I want to own a shard, right? So I'm going to pay money to own a shard of a license, if that's even possible.
Yes.
Then
yep.
Then as long as I hold that shard and can prove that I own it, then I could play his for like, I don't know, one unit of the video or something.
Yep, I'm sure he'd have in that license like just terms, right? Terms of how it can be used. It could be very like using it in all your videos or in different ways. Like, yeah, that's exactly right.
Right. As opposed to going through that whole cumbersome DMCA process, which, you know, RIC kind of explained it in this way, which is even if I had direct access to the artist, him or herself, they still would not be able to give me rights to play that piece of audio. Like, I have to go through like an application process with people who own the license, who then will give me like, I don't know, a tip.
Yep. Right. It's basically we're entering what's happened is Bitcoin is really exciting because it meant that we can use our money however we want without asking anyone's permission for it. Which had been before pretty like restricted by your different services and accounts, right? Banking accounts and things like that. We're doing the same sort of innovation now in these other type of experiences and relationships we have. Whereas we're looking at artists and content creators as being valuable. And now we're figuring out ways to tap into that more directly. Yeah. So, but you're right. That's been that longstanding problem for artists. Disrupting that is going to shake up. I keep saying like we're on the precipice of like a huge sort of artistic revolution renaissance, because everyone who's been an artist, both music creator and even like actor to like so many types of different artists, like content creators, they've always been really poor, just passionate. So the fact that we are going to be able to translate that passion now into having a career, like a viable career that makes significant amounts of money for yourself, like I'm so excited about that version of the world we're heading into.
Yeah, as opposed to being an indentured servant to whatever record label or.
Do you find similar dynamics in the game art industry? Are there like large sort of monopsony players?
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Who are they?
And I was gonna say there's even think about writing. As a writer, think about how many writers like just they're not allowed, like even when you write for a big publisher, big outlet, you are usually have to write with the brand's voice in mind. Like you don't totally have this freedom usually to like really say like have your piece. I think like a content creator just on a whole spectrum is about to be really exciting. So that means us on a consumption level and our experiences on as far as consumers and lovers of that really good content, including writing, is going to be neat. Like think about the media, like fake news and the media outlets and how much we're bombarded with information we don't want.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice about it though, because we don't get to interact that way with these sort of outlets.
Right. Yeah. So introduce a bit of competition, introduce a bit of, I guess, integrity into these things by allowing consumers and producers to directly transact.
If you think about Twitter and how I remember when the news started picking up tweets as being like news, news clip snippings, and how like. I mean, that's basically the first phase of that, right? Where they are trying to stay up and relevant, but we've actually just started building these ways to go around them. And I don't know how they're going to keep up. Like, I think this level of disruption is, it's definitely going to be our cyberpunk future that I'm excited about.
Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in a few minutes, I'm just going to open this up to guests who are asking questions on the YouTube live stream. But very quickly, I want to close this with one more question, which is, do you think there's, I mean, we always go back to the question of scalability, which is, if we are indeed at the tipping point, then there's going to be an influx of just millions of new mainstream users into this space, which, like all are welcome. This is great. This is amazing. This is like the moment we've all been waiting for. But still, scalability. What are your thoughts on that? You know, we can't really scale to support all those users yet. What are your thoughts about that? And how important is interoperability in this scheme if, you know, any single layer one cannot kind of support all of that demand?
Right.
And
right. So that's that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why us having the game on layer 2 is once Loom went, you know, belly up, we could have just done Ethereum just because we didn't want that maybe to run into the same problem again. But because of that, like what you're talking about with being prepared for the users, we had to be on a layer 2 solution. And I guess like Cosmos is a great example of projects working on, I guess like once we had trained people about what is possible, and it's just showing them and planting the seeds, right? And then people are going to start using the networks and the things that actually support the scalability. But I guess also it's the application developers. So the friction points we have right now, for example, is like, we need to make sure a user doesn't have to worry about managing their different assets on different networks, right? Like we need to bake that in so that it's really easy for them to switch between whatever network for whatever reason that they're using. So those tools will come, those applications and user interfaces will come. But I do think like I think initially what we're going to see is people owning assets, being excited about owning the assets, and that's going to first drive the adoption. And so the content in that way, but the application, the experiences, so games and other really highly interactive applications will have to be on these layer 2 solutions. Mm-hmm. So owning the assets first, probably through Ethereum or some other mainstream, like if we're thinking of it like a funnel, some mainstream portal, but then getting down, like we should as developers be onboarding them in a very gradual, user-friendly way so that when they land on their layer 2 solution, it's not like they didn't have to learn what is Matic to get there.
Right. That makes sense. And Chris, this is a question for you, which is, you know, if the premise of the narrative is that things need to be completely composable with existing addresses that people already have, such as the Ethereum address, like how composable is Cosmos and how composable is it going to be with, you know, being Web3 compatible?
Most of the sort of existing tooling compatibility questions are not specific to, say, consensus algorithms or the kinds of interoperability protocols that Cosmos and indeed other projects also use. So all of that should be possible in principle. The project which is closest to what it sounds like you guys are looking for in the Cosmos ecosystem is Ethermint. I don't know if that supports Ethereum addresses directly, although it probably wouldn't be a difficult modification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it supports MetaMask and the Web3 APIs and the standardized toolset.
Yeah. Is it possible for multiple layer 1s to be composable in the same way that layer 2s on top of any specific main chain could be? Or is it only possible for a layer 2 on a main chain to be composable in the way that CoinArtist described?
In general, the interface between a layer 1 and a layer 2 looks a lot like the interface between two layer 1s. I'm not entirely sure that this layered frame of talking about these systems is entirely justified, because usually you have some gateway into which you're, at least talking abstractly, you have some gateway into which you're depositing assets. And then they get escrowed there on one chain and they are available for use on the other chain. Mm-hmm. And whether those chains are layer 1 or layer 2 actually doesn't matter. You still have this form because you need to, you want to preserve uniqueness of non-fungible tokens or something across the two chains. You can't have it in two places at once, in other words. And if you have that kind of general architecture, you will also always end up with this topology. So I think it should be possible to abstract away the differences of whether what the users are ultimately settling to is a layer 1, layer 2, layer 1.5, layer -1, layer Z, or whatever terminology is invented next year, as long as it follows this basic pattern.
Even if they're
And that's just,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that's exactly how we've designed in
Nice.
that way. And so, like for example, if Cosmos or Near or someone another layer one network, it's just that when we'd have to rewrite on those networks our contracts and whatnot. So if someone has their assets, they're holding them on the other network, but we want the game to, and that's where they want to hold their assets. We just have to rewrite our contracts and support them. Yeah.
Eventually, I expect the only difference to be UI differences in the future after everything is completely interoperable. Anyway, yeah, lots to look forward to. very, very fun stuff. Okay, I'm just going to go into the super chat and start picking up questions from there. So Sisla asks, hi, coin artist. How do you see communities around people and communities around specific pieces of content like music and movie? With traction in the space, do you see content-specific tokens becoming popular?
Yes, absolutely. Like this video, for example, right? Just for your show, you might tokenize. I don't think the file size isn't supported now, but you can turn this into an NFT. You can shard it, and just everyone that's a part of your community could just add memorabilia, you know, like have a piece of it. And then you have your whole history. What's neat about that is you have this whole ledger of your activities, that things you're interested in. And then as creators, like developers, we can target people that own these different assets and drop special things to who we think would be a good fit for our user.
All right, do you think media assets will be investments for people who might never get to own a full Bitcoin? And do you think if rights are solved through blockchain, media asset ownership will go mainstream?
I think that they're not a financial. I think what we're seeing with this sort of stuff is that it's going to be more of a sentimental value. There will probably be some sort of value, and it'll probably be rise and fall according to just the timeline of whatever the media is associated with, and the creators. But I think, like, when it comes to media, it's capturing story. It's somehow capturing story. So you don't know the future of the content creator and what their story is going to look like, or the content they're going to continue to create. So it's hard to assess how valuable an investment wise that is. But if you're a fan of something, and this is how it generally always is with just investing in general, even when you think of stocks, you usually should buy and get excited about the things that make you really excited, that you're a fan of. You know, like if you're an Apple, if you had Apple stock, you know, because you really loved Apple as a company, you loved Steve Jobs during those times, then like that's how you should think about these things. But not in the way of stocks, right? Like take it down a big notch to thinking just about, do you want to be a supporter of something? Do you want it in your wallet as a part of your showcase? Yeah, that's, I guess, how Bitcoin is, and those investments are definitely the safer bet if you're thinking of something just making you money in the long run, for sure.
I want to go back to your point about having something in your wallet to showcase, but what's the drive behind that, right? Is it some way of signaling to people? Like, what do you think?
Yep, I think it's a signal. I think as the trend of, like I was talking about, being developers and us airdropping as we look for users, it can be used as a recruitment, tool to people. So you basically will be receiving targeted spam. But some of that spam could be valuable, so
like uni.
So
Sorry, no, always call that spam. No, I mean it was valuable and very much desired airdropping.
Yeah, well, so like I think exactly, like rewarding users for user behavior is going to become a pattern. And so it's going to drive people to want to participate in something because you don't know what's going to bring you in the future. And the more you do what you love, the more we can target. It's kind of like how we have this like paid targeted advertising across different platforms, but instead the user gets that value now, for their behavior instead of platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems to be training up a Pavlovian response in people to kind of say that, hey, in the future, who knows? If you use this platform, you might get some free money. You might get like an NFT. Or
Yeah, boy, I have to admit
Yeah.
a solid degree of skepticism here. Computers incentivizing humans to do things is not quite the direction.
what do you mean?
Gameplay is great. Gameplay is great, but I think it can go too far. Now, that said, I completely agree with your point that, DeFi is just games without the assets or the storyline. So much better to add those into the mix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that, let's just close with, which of you Cosmos projects are thinking of airdropping tokens to Cosmos addresses? Let us know in the comments below. I know Persistence was doing that. So we were thinking about like, injecting airdrops on steroids, and that seems to be starting to ramp up. And so that was already happening on Ethereum, as you were saying. But yeah, excited to see that in Cosmos.
Well, even I love the idea, like how Uniswap did it by letting the users claim. So that way, as a company, you're not have this huge loss for the airdrop, but you can whitelist, have a whitelist of addresses of people that you think are a good fit for your project or for whatever thing that you've created, and they can claim it. And that is so neat to think about. I'm special. I get to, I would go mint that for sure, $5. I don't care. It's special for me.
Well,
yeah.
I wonder what SEC and tax implications that comes with, because if somebody's claiming and it's the protocol that is or the smart contract that is distributing the money, then what the implications of that are to regulators. And
that's where it's easier to think about NFTs, media and content like that, because it's a different asset class.
So do you think it couldn't be a security, or and what do you think NFTs would be classified as?
They have, for example, as game assets, they have provable and direct utility.
Utility
as game assets, yeah. So most NFTs, especially with these sound files that you could be able to use, the utility use case argument is clear.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like art. When you buy a piece of art, it's not treated the same as buying a bar of gold.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. If then it wouldn't be treated as a commodity in tax terms. Or yeah.
Yep.
No lawyer. No lawyer. It would be a good question for a lawyer that we have on the show next time. Okay.
I often joke, and this whole DeFi, so coin actually came from an NFT, by the way. It was a sharded NFT, and that's how we got the ERC20s for coin. Actually joke around about trying to figure out how these regulators are going to have to walk through all these economic loops, the side loops, the game design economy loops, all this stuff, and sharding an NFT, the different assets, and they change according, how will they? I don't know. It's going to be such a rabbit hole. I'm really curious to see if anyone takes a shot at classifying this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we, all of us are in this space for long enough, and it's hard for us to reason about how these things should be classified anyway. So yeah. Good luck, regulators. Okay, we're coming up on the hour right now. Thank you so much, Marguerite, aka Coin Artist, for coming on Interchain FM. It was an awesome show, and thank you for enlightening us about everything that is happening in gaming and the future of NFTs, and how this future mainstream economy is about to just break into crypto.
Yeah, it's exciting.
All right, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.